Hello, this is Dane Ciolino from the Loyola University New Orleans College of Law, and this is the third of my three-part series of Microsoft Word for lawyers. In the first video, we covered why lawyers should worry about being proficient or expert in Word. Then we had a discussion of basic topics like, for example, styles. I know I keep saying that, and I always will. Then in our second series, second video, we talked about tables of contents. In this video, we talk about creating tables of authorities. The workflow is fairly simple. After you've finished your brief, you mark each authority, and in marking each authority, again, it's one of these, it's like so many things in life, you can either do a good job at it now or fix it later. You want to make sure that as you're marking authorities, you have perfect cite form, you tag it to the right category, and it's good to go, because if you do it right the first time, you won't have to do it again. After you tag the authorities, then you insert where you want the table of authorities to go in the document, and then after that, you right-click and update each category. Fairly straightforward. Let's get started. Well, then finally, you have to correct errors, and correcting errors the right way rather than doing it the wrong way. First of all, let's discuss marking each authority. And again, mark it right the first time and save yourself some effort later. The first thing to do is to mark each authority that you want to appear in your table of authorities. And the key to this, the mindset to have here is, I'm going to get this right the first time. Now, how do you do it? Well, first of all, I need to show you, again, this little button in the paragraph pane. This is the button that hides, and look, I'll hover over it to say it's a show hide button, and it shows paragraph marks and other hidden formatting symbols, and it's especially useful for an advanced layout task. And you can click here to learn more about it, but it's impossible to do what we're going to be talking about without knowing about that show hide button. So right now, this is the brief that I did months ago in a disciplinary matter, and it has a table of authorities, and here's one of the cases in the table of authorities, the In Re Banderas case, right? In Re Banderas. Now I need that to appear in the table of authorities, and more particularly in the cases section of the table of authorities. So what I'm going to need to do is mark it. So how do I do that? Well, you go to the References tab in the ribbon. And again, remember, this is where the Table of Contents tab is, the Footnote tab, and the Mark Citation tab. And this is where it all happens. This is where the magic happens here for tables of authority. Table of Authorities, Mark Citation. So what you'll do is you'll open that. And this is the way this box looks. Now, I didn't select any text, so there's nothing in this, but I will in a second. Okay, so here goes. First of all, let me show you something. I'm going to show you the hidden text. I have already marked this one because, and that's what all of this is, this goofy looking, there's a name for it, I guess, but it's some kind of fancy looking parentheses mark. So let me just delete that. So right now, this has not been marked, okay? So it looks the same whether we're looking at it with the hidden text or not. You see, these are also already marked, so you can see the hidden text. All right, but here we go. This is the way you mark your first authority. You highlight the whole authority, and you're going to want to make sure that you don't have any spaces before or after what you highlight. Next, you are going to then go to the References tab, and then you're going to hit Mark Citation. And look, there it is, Mark Citation, the selected text. So what you need to do now is make it an acceptable table of authorities entry. So what do you have to do there? Well, you first have to take out the pin site, So the pin sight's out. And look, it's in perfect sight form. I've got a space in between the southern and the third. I don't have any space after this. I've got Louisiana 2014. It's good to go. So now all I have to do is hit mark. And I've got it in the right category, right? The category is cases. You always have to check that it's in the right category. And then I hit mark. Boom. So what's happened? Now that I've marked it, it is right here. There it is. And we can see it. Why can we see it? Because I've got, you can see this is grayed out because this is, but when you hit it, when you hide it, it's gone. Boom, boom. So I've now marked this authority and I've marked it properly. Remember to mark it, just to recap, you highlight the whole authority, being sensitive. No, I got too much space there. Being sensitive to only highlighting what you want in the table of authorities with no space before and no space after. Then you go to the References tab. Then you hit Mark Citation, and then you hit Mark. Now, I'm not going to remark it because I've already done it, but that way you would do it. You would get it all ready to go. Now, that's how you do it on an individual citation level. You then have to go through the whole brief and do that for every citation. Well, what happens if it shows up again as a short cite? Like, for example, this Bolton case. This Bolton case already appeared in a full citation sometime earlier. I don't know where. I'd have to go back and look for it. But it appeared earlier. So right now, oh, there it is, right here. Look, In re Bolton. There's the long cite form. So here is the short cite form. So how did I mark that? Well, again, you mark that a little differently. What you do is you'd still highlight it, but then you would go to References, Mark Citation, and then you'd mark it as a short citation. So let me show you. You go to Bolton. You'd find the short citation, and then you just mark it. It's already in there, so all you have to do is find it and then hit mark. It's already in there, so you don't have to, like for example, if Edwins was already in there, you just go to Edwins, hit mark, find Edwins in here. This is called Louisiana State Bar versus Edwins. There it is, Edwins. And then you'd hit mark. The only difference is when it's cited subsequently, you don't have to add the whole full cite form. You just find the second cite, and you just find where the second cite is here in the short citation, and then you just click mark, and there it is. Now, again, you always have to make sure that the category is right whenever you're marking. Mark all, I've never used that, so I don't even know what it does. But you can see if you've already got something in here, it already has a long citation down here in the long citation box. So you don't really need to do anything other than just hit mark again. So that's how you do it on an individual citation level. When do you do it? Personally, I would write the whole brief. And when you're just about done with the brief, I would go ahead and mark all the citations. You can do it as you go, but it's better as you go to be thinking about the structure of your argument, your sentences. So I would not recommend doing it. I would not recommend doing it as you go. But when you're all done, mark your citations, and then you're ready for what comes next. Step 2, insert the table of authorities where you want it to go in the document. After marking all the authorities throughout the entire brief, then you go to the page on which you want to insert the table of authorities. Here, of course, it's going to go right after the table of contents. Remember that the table of contents, you're going to end that with a section break where the next section starts on a new page. So here we are in the table of authorities starting on a new page. And this table of authorities is already done, as you can see, because I did it. But you can see what it's going to look like at the end. You're going to have different sections for rules, other authorities, statutes, cases. But what we're going to do now is I'm just going to delete it. Why am I going to delete it? I'm going to delete it because now we are going to, I'm going to show you how to create it yourself. So delete, well, hold on. Well, let me go to table of authorities. Hold on, I'm just trying to figure out how to delete it. Been a long time since I deleted some tables, a table of authorities. There we go. Okay, the table of authorities is deleted. At least mine is. So now we're going to insert a table of authorities. Remember, we've marked all of the individual authorities. We have properly categorized them as cases, statutes, rules. So now we are going to create the table of authorities. Now, the way it's done is you have to go, if we put all, let's see what happens. Insert all. There, it just did it. It's done. Look at that. How hard was that? Look, I'll undo it and I'll do it again. This is insert table of authorities. Click on it. Category. All. And we just are going to hit OK. That's it. It couldn't be harder, right? Or easier. Use PASM. That just says if there are a lot of sites, it'll say PASM rather than. We want to use a tab leader. That's right, and we want to keep the original formatting from the mark the way we marked it, and then we just hit OK. Boom, there it is. How much easier is that than trying to hand or do this manually? It's not even close. So that's how you do it. Pretty simple. And again, just like anything else, you're not going to know how to do it until you practice and you play with it a bit. But there it is. Finally, and I'm not going to call this step 3 because with any luck, you've marked all of your authorities correctly and there will be no errors in the table of authorities once you run it. But that's not going to be the case. You're going to have errors, and when you have those errors, you have to correct them. But you have to correct them the right way, or else it's more trouble for you. Here's how. There are going to be errors in your table of authorities. Look, I found one here. I artificially inserted that one. But you can see it's an error. Why? Because a pin site got brought over when you were creating the original citation. That happens. It happens. It shouldn't happen much if you're careful when you're paying attention at marking your individual citations, but it's going to happen. So how do you fix it? Well, this is the way that you would kind of like to do it, is just come right here and fix it there and say, oh, I fixed it. But you know the problem is when you generate the table of authorities again, the error is going to be put right back in the same place. So the only way to fix errors is to go to the original citation where you marked it and fix it. So for example, let's go to the original citation from In Re Alex. We know it's on page 14, but you know what I usually do is I'll just go to, oh, I'm sorry. I will generally just go to find, and I'll do Alex. In Re Alex, there it is on page 14. Oh wait, hold on, there it is, okay. And what I will do, now I'm gonna tell you there's no error in this one because I inserted it artificially, but assuming there was an error here, this is how you fix it. Remember, you have to go here to show the hidden formatting symbols. And look, we now have all the hidden formatting symbols. And you will look for the error in this site, this marked site. And if the error was adding a pin site, which you'd see here was this, you'd see that. And what would you do to fix it? You might also have to do it here. But you know, you just have to fix it in the hidden coded area, and then when you run the table of authorities, it's not going to be a problem. Last point to make with regard to tables of authorities. As you make changes, as you update the brief, add more authorities, you're going to have to update your table of authorities. So how do you do it? Well, the same way that you update the table of contents. You highlight it like this, right-click, and say Update Field. You have to do it now for each one. Update field, update field, update field, but there it is. Everything is now fixed. So pretty straightforward. And there it is. Those are the simple steps to create a table of authorities. Now, having said that, you don't really know how to do this until you practice it and play with it yourself. It is hard to learn how to do this. So again, the only way to learn how to do anything on the computer, and maybe even in life, is to play around and do it in practice. So please do that before you have to do this in crunch time, the night before a brief is due, for example. So do it in advance. Also, I said this at the beginning, get yourself a good resource. For example, Microsoft Word for Dummies is a good start. There are more sophisticated books that are better and in more detail. I would recommend that you become a student of Microsoft Word. I know you didn't think that that's what you signed up for when you signed up to be a lawyer, but this is the lawyer's principal tool. So if you want to be a good lawyer, you have to know how to use your tools, and particularly Microsoft Word. So make this an effort to a priority to get proficient and then to get expert and to maintain that expertise. Good luck.